Okay, so question 4 says write each expression below in factored form. And whenever we're talking about factored form, that means that we need the two sets of numbers that we're going to multiply to give us the answer that they're giving. So basically, we're working backwards. This is the standard form. They want to know what got multiplied together to give that form. So for the first one, we know that we have to multiply to the C value, which is the last value. So we need to multiply the negative 20, and we need to add to negative 8. So the first thing to start with is think about the multiples of negative 20. If it's negative, that means I need to have one positive and one negative. So it's like negative 1 and positive 20, or the other way around, positive 1 and negative 20, or negative 2 and 10, or the other way around, 2 and negative 10, or negative 4 and 5, or positive 4 and negative 5. All of these are the ways that we can multiply the negative 20. Then we're looking for the ones that add to negative 8. So then just kind of think through these two. If I added them up, would I get negative 8? Nope. What if I add these up, would I get negative 8? Nope. If I add these up, I would get positive 8. So I'm getting close. When I add these two up, I would get negative 8. So this is the combination I'm worried about. This is the one that I want to do. So then when I go to write my final answer, it's always going to be X, as long as this is the way that the problem's set up. And then I'm going to have a positive 2, so plus 2, and then negative 10, minus 10. All right, so this is X plus 2. I know I kind of squeezed it in. X plus 2, X minus 10. And then I can always check my answer for these because I can do the box with them, X plus 2 and X minus 10, and make sure that that's what I get, X squared minus 8X minus 20 when I do the standard form. So if I multiply this all out, that's what I get, X squared. These go together, so that gives me a negative 8X and then negative 20. So you can always check your work when we're going into factored form. So this is a little bit different because now we have an A value of 3. So I would recommend that you do the box in reverse. There's other ways that you can do it, but I think this is the most logical way to do it. So 3x squared goes in this first box because that's where it comes from, just like over here. This x squared came from that first box. Then the 2 goes down here, because just like over here, the negative 20 came from that part of the box. And then these two have to add up to 5x. So I'm multiplying to fill this in, and the only way to get 3x squared is to do x times 3x. That's the only way. So I know that I can start with that. Sometimes there's more than one option, but for 3x squared, this is the only way you can multiply and get 3x squared is x times 3x. Then for 2, I can either get, I need to multiply by 1 and 2. That's my only option, but I need to figure out where to put it. If I put a 1 here and a 2 here, or the other way around. So you can think about it and use logic, or you can just plug in, see if it works. So if I put 2 here and 1 here, because 2 times 1 is 2, now I need to fill out the rest of it. So 3x times 2x is 6x. X times 1 is 1x. And when I add those two up, I need to get 5x, which I don't get. So that's not the right combination. So I can switch where I put the 1 and the 2, and I'm going to put the 1 here now, and I'm going to put the 2 here now. So now when I fill it in, I get 3x times 1, which is 3x. I don't know why my 3's aren't working. And then 2 times x, which will give me 2x. And those two do add to 5x. So these are my answers. This is one of my groups. So in one group, I'm going to write x plus 1 because it's a positive 1. And then in my other group, I'm going to write 3x plus 2. And there's my answer. All right, the next two I'm going to kind of group together because you can see they both look a little funky because normally we have, when we're doing quadratics, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So we normally have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. These only have 2 terms. They're missing this middle term, the b term. So when that happens, there's a couple things you could do. You could do perfect squares if you know what multiplies what squares and gets to 400. That's kind of a shortcut. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you can set up your box and you can put x squared here and negative 400 here. I know the only way to multiply the x squared is x times x, so I can go ahead and put that in. Now, these two need to add to 0 because there is no b value. So the only way that that would work is that this number and this number, the numbers in those boxes, one has to be a positive and one has to be a negative of the same number. So like negative 5x and 5x. So that way when I add them up, they cancel each other out. So that's where I need to know what number times itself will give me 400. So that would be 20 because 20 times 20 is 400, but it needs to be a negative 400. So one of them needs to be a negative. So negative 20 times positive 20 will give me a negative 400. So when I fill out the rest of the box, this gives me a negative 20x. This gives me a positive 20x, and they cancel out to give me that 0. So then my final answers are x minus 20. That's the first group. And then x plus 20. This is the 20. Then x plus 20. All right, now if I look at the last one, remember this was a negative 400, and I had to do it that way so I could get the negative 20 and a positive 20, and they could cancel each other out. For this one, if I set up the box, I'm going to have x squared and 36, and I still need this to equal 0. Well, the only way it can equal 0 if one is positive and one is negative, but a positive times a negative is not a positive 36. There's no way that I could do a positive times a negative and multiply to 36 and then add those same two numbers and get 0. So this one is not factorable. Right, that doesn't happen very often, but this is an example of one that's not factorable.